Clinical Nutrition Center in studio. Thank you so much for joining us. Feel free to share this out. Let us know what you got going on today. Here we go. Good morning. This is KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM. My name is Gardy, and I have Dr. Aaron Chapa with Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, located in beautiful League City, Texas, hanging out here in studio. If you're watching on social media, thank you so much. If you're listening on KHEA, the app, on the website, call a friend, tell them to tune in. We're going to share some really good information with you today. How you doing, Dr. Chapa?
Gardy, it is a beautiful day. I hope today continues to be as beautiful as the last 5 days here in Texas. My goodness gracious. We have had some weather, haven't we?
Yes, we have. It's been nice.
Yeah, I mean, this is the great reason people love Texas is weather like we're having currently. And, man, it's been really hard to want to work when it's so beautiful outside. I mean, that casual wind, that beautiful sunshine, those perfect clouds. But then I go to the car and I see pollen all over my car. Did you have that same issue?
Not today.
No?
I usually try and keep it in the garage.
Oh, that's smart. I like that.
Yeah.
I'm not there yet. So, yeah, no, I have pollen all over the vehicles, and I'm starting to get patients rolling in with different types of allergy symptoms. I mean, nobody likes itchy, watery eyes. You know what I mean?
Right.
Nobody likes that constant gravelly-like feeling or that dry sensation or just the wind blowing in it, causing that irritation-like feeling to be present. Nobody likes to be sneezing and blowing their schnoz, especially coming out of, post-COVID world where people are still a little gun-shy of the sneezing feature that God instilled in us all, And so we have to recognize, and we're going into, a little bit of an allergy season. A change in the seasons brings about some changes in weather, but also potentially brings some different, non-infectious pollutants into our environment. And so I think that we would just discuss a little bit around the idea of allergies. It is definitely something that pops up. And if your body has allergies, not just in the allergy season, but year-round, Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center is definitely got answers to help you address allergy-like symptoms. I brought some tools that I like, to address allergy-like symptoms. And I think that, when you have tools in your tool bag, you're able to attack with confidence the curveball that always is coming.
Right.
And so, when people have allergies, it's their body's inability to clear toxins or utilize nutrients effectively to clear those toxins. And so they back up. And when there's a backup anywhere in the body will attempt to excrete it through a secondary exit strategy. In this case, in the allergy realm, we're talking about the hyoid the high lymph system, everything above your collarbone, all the way into up your lymph nodes in your neck, into your sinus cavities, out your eyes, out your ears, and out your nose. And that's where the allergy game is played. When you go visit an ENT allergy specialist, that's what they're working on, and everything in the high lymph system. And that high lymph system is just a indicator light. It's not necessarily where the allergies are manifesting. And so when we work on allergy cases, yes, we have specific products that call to the idea of allergies, Allerplex, for example, Allercaps, for example, from Standard Process and Premier Research Labs, Sinus Force from our office. We have these tools, and they're very specific to dealing with environmental allergens. The EnviroForce, oh my goodness, one of my favorites. I got an EnviroForce Junior here for kids, and then the regular EnviroForce for adults. And we use these tools in order to help make change from an allergy perspective, but it's not always simply about addressing the allergies. When you look at these products, they address the underlying cause of your allergies, which typically is congestion downstream in the intestines or in the liver area or the lower lymphatic tracts. And when the lymphatic tracts are backed up, the liver's backed up, or the GI tract's backed up, the non-infectious allergy support we use addresses that downstream effects. It's like getting the dam out of the way so that the water can flow. There's not a backup anymore, and all of a sudden the allergies are non-existent. And that's very exciting for people, because people don't realize that there are better ways other than steroids or different tactics that they're using in order to deal with the allergy craze. Whenever we'll talk today a little bit about the 5 inflammatory foods that, even though we have an allergy season, we know that there are things that cause our sensitivity level to be higher to changes in the weather, aka more susceptible to the curveballs that are coming, right? Because we should not blame our health on the weather. But I can't disagree that the weather changes definitely cause issues for people. So we have to look at why could the weather be driving people to have allergens and have the symptoms that they're not after. So that's going to be fun. When the pollen count is high, should you stay inside? Should you go outside? I mean, what's the answer? We'll kind of go through that a little bit. And then we'll reduce, we're going to kind of look at this from a model of what you can control, do your best to control it, and give your body the tools to handle better what you can't control. Like, it's not, you can't say, all right, liver, do your job better today. But you can put programs or tools together to come in and assist the liver to do a better job, or the GI tract to do a better job. So I think this is going to be a lot of fun, and I'm just excited to see kind of what goes on. Now, if you have questions, we definitely want your we want to answer those, don't we?
Yes, we do.
And a lot of people don't know that we take live questions on the air live the day we record. And then for those that have podcast questions, they can email us or reach out through some of our social media platforms to get those questions answered. So where can they look that stuff up, Gardy?
Wherever you listen to podcasts, and if you don't listen to podcasts, you should check them out. And you can start with the Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center podcast. If you go to Spotify, if you go to Apple Podcasts, wherever you get them, you can search Dr. Aaron Chapa. It'll pop up. Subscribe one time, and then it'll pop to your feed, and you can even have notifications set. So we usually get them uploaded the exact same day. So maybe you can't listen to the whole thing live as it's happening right now. That's okay. Go back and listen to the whole thing in its entirety at your leisure. And it's a lot of fun. It's a very easy.
We've got a ton of them up there. We got all kinds of topics. And,
hundreds.
I mean, at this point, it's been pretty fun to just see what is possible when you're just consistent in the grind to keep showing up every week and playing the game. And here we are. I mean, that's what health is about. It's about showing up and playing the game and recognizing it's a daily grind. It's a daily activity. It's a daily discipline. It's something that we all must aspire to doing better and incorporating more of in order to maximize what I call the longevity curve. To maximize the vitality curve, so that you feel that vim, vigor, and vip all the days of your life, so that you feel your very best each and every day that you go to work, each and every day that you serve as a parent, serve as a young person, as a student. There's so many aspects of health that impact every part of us and how we're creative and how we think and how we interact. And so healthy is definitely something that we should aspire to. There's nothing greater. There's no wealth that can compete with health. And so I want people to see that health is where you first and foremost want to learn and put energy into, so that you know what to eat, how to eat, how your bowels should move, how they shouldn't move. You should be able to tell when things are slow or sluggish. You should be able to tell whenever your sleeping, is off. You should be able to tell, your performance in the gym. You should be so in tune with how your body is humming. When it gets out of tune, you know what to do to pull it back into alignment. And that's what Living Well Clinical Nutrition is all about, is we want to teach people how to live better, be better, and stay better one bite at a time. And, Asthma and Allergy Foundations of America consistently rank Houston as the highest affected city in spring allergy season. And 55% of the United States population tests positive to more than one allergen. So that's, it's not just trees and grasses.
Right.
It's air pollution and a combination of other, antigens that we're being exposed to day in and day out. And guess out of, let's just say, I'm just going to give it to you. 1 out of 3 people suffer with chronic allergy symptoms.
What's chronic mean in that?
That means long term.
Okay.
Like they've been dealing with this since they've been kids. For the last 5 years, and they almost dread these patients. They dread the allergy season because they know Kleenexes and red-nosed reindeer in the wrong season. They have just issues with their sinuses. And so wide ranges of allergens. We got molds and weeds, ragweeds, grasses, the different types of grass like your Bermuda or orchid or winter bend. You got your oaks and juniper berries, birch, pine, and the famous Austin cedar. We've got all kinds of different stuff to evaluate and look at. And typically, this season rolls through March through May, and is the highest in retrospect to the blooming of new growth and new development. And I just think these stats are just fascinating to me. To think about this is a really big problem. The 6th leading cause of chronic disease is allergies, and according to the foundation, Asthma and Allergy Foundations of America. And take a guess at how much is spent on a yearly basis fighting allergies
in the United States, in the world.
And this is going to be in the United States.
So it's a money
game for sure.
Okay, so how much does the United States spend?
I'm going to give you a clue so that you can be in the ballpark.
Okay.
Because I don't even know. It's more than $5 billion.
Okay, I was gonna guess I was gonna be like $1 billion, but I didn't know if I was gonna be in the ball.
North.
It's north of $5 billion.
Yes.
I'm gonna say $7 billion.
Higher.
10.
Higher.
12.
Higher.
Okay, not much higher than there's that much money in the world. Who has all this money?
I don't know.
All of us Americans.
18 bill.
Wow.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
4 million lost work days. Sick days due to allergies. So there's a big cost here.
It's just Jeff Bezos has allergies. He looks like he does, and he's the one spending it all.
Yes,
the only one with that much, 18 billion.
Poor guy.
Right.
Kids who have parents with allergies are 70% more likely to have to suffer with allergy season. So, common treatments, over-the-counter medications taken daily despite the effects, the side effects that they bring, inhalers, steroids. Better options, right, is we want to feed the body. And this is where Living Well Clinical Nutrition really steps up to the plate in order to begin making a difference for people.
Is it a genetic thing? You mentioned that the parents having it, the kids are more likely to?
I find that it's not so much genetic as it's what we call familiar, meaning people never do what they want to do, especially kids. They do what they know how to do, and who are they taught from?
Their parents, right?
And their parents having allergies, they're going to be following a recipe for allergies, and therefore the kids will develop the same recipe. Now, is there a blueprint that makes somebody more susceptible to certain trees and stuff of that nature? Of course, yeah, absolutely. But again, I believe that if you were to put yourself on a scale, like if you were to say, all right, if I hit this threshold, whatever that threshold number is, I'm going to have allergy symptoms. Mm-hmm. If I can keep the body's physiology working so efficiently that I keep you away from that metabolic or that allergy threshold, Then when the allergy season comes and it knocks, throws a right hook at you or a knee to the belly, it doesn't push you over that threshold, then you don't have the symptoms. And that's ultimately where we want to get people to, is we want to get people to having such an efficiency in their body that those toxins that we talked about earlier don't build up. Toxin meaning anything that your body cannot use. We want to make sure that you're doing things that you can control in order to make sure that you're staying far south of that barrier for which if you cross, you have symptoms. Because the closer and closer you get to that threshold, that's when the curveballs of life can throw us into a tailspin. We can get, knocked off track. We can start experiencing symptoms that we don't like. So better options, we kind of already have alluded to some of them. Allerplex, for example, Allercaps, for example. This is the, one that's okay for your all carnivorian, vegetarian carnivore type person. The Allercaps is what I use for people that have like really, really severe to everything under the sun. They can't take anything, or they are vegetarian. This is a great blend. And then I love these two guys, EnviroForce and EnviroForce Junior, because these all work on different pathways. But these, like for example, the EnviroForce is more of an antihistaminic type approach in order to open up the liver's ability to clear non-infectious allergens. So I would use this in like an acute situation. The Allerplex and Allercaps I use whenever I know that there's a deep-rooted allergen or a liver congestion. I will bring this aboard in order to maximize that efficiency, the removal of waste and toxins out of the body. And the Allercaps and Allerplex is proven over time to be fantastic, where the EnviroForce is like acute, I got something I need help with today. That could be a really big benefit to help supporting the body's natural antihistaminic reactions that we've got to get under control. Because when you have these histamines flaring up the body, it's almost like you've constantly got somebody nagging you or poking you or irritating you. You ever had that happen to you?
Yes.
It's never happened. You're so patient, Gardy. We see you on the radio.
I have some patience, but no, that's happened. I think it's natural.
Yeah. Well, these are all natural. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So these are all safe. And the Allerplex helps to clear trash and congestion out of the liver, as well as the Allercaps. And when we clear trash out of the liver, it's amazing to me. Skin issues, allergy issues relate back to the liver. So we will do quite a bit of support in order to maximize liver function. And so this is the whole idea that we're after when we're serving our patients, is to find the underlying cause to why their body's breaking down. We want to make sure that they are not feeling like we're just like symptomatically patching them up to get them through the season. We want to get in there and like overhaul, turn a stone or two over, make sure that we maximize efficiency in the biochemistry, because it's when the biochemistry, the liver level breaks down, that we start seeing nutritional decline. Like even you eating the best food, you don't break it down as well, you don't absorb it as well, because you have a dysfunction. The liver's bogged down with pus pockets and other, trash buildup. And then what begins to happen is these allergens, they start clogging up the system, and it just creates more perpetuating irritation. And then the sinuses start getting overused. Then it starts dripping down the back of your throat, going into your lungs. And that's where you're starting to see your, asthma centers of America and allergy centers of America, come together to start trying to figure out, like, why are these nasal cavities filling up full of fluid? Why are the inner ear filling up full of fluid? What's happening there? But these products will strengthen the lungs and help support the natural flow of how the body gets rid of waste and what is built up and backed up into the tissues. And I could have brought some lung support and things like that. I just brought Sinus Force, because if you've got trash in the lung or in the sinuses and or the lungs, I suppose, we have support for those specific target tissues to reduce the burden that your sinuses are carrying, because they're not designed to be caverns for water or moisture or pus, right? Mm-hmm. The lungs, they're not designed to be, filled full of water. That's bad. And so we want to find out how to maximize the underlying cause and get the issues of the liver and the bowel clearing, so that the organs that are broken or breaking down and not repairing themselves quick enough can begin to resolve. Therefore, we maximize the absorption of the nutrients that you're getting from your diet. And even if you're, one of the things that we always go to when we're looking at allergens is the four food allergens that people are most likely sensitive to, that push their threshold level up to that barrier where the weather can change and throw them over the line. If I can keep you under the line, you're okay. But they get into things. And one of the common things they get into is dairy products. Milk, cheese, yogurt, sour cream, ice cream, creamy dressings. These things come into our body and they're mucus-laden. Dairy products are absolutely the most mucus-forming food on the planet. I would say, really, it's because our body's inability to break down these proteins. I mean, these cow proteins are designed for a 1,000-pound beast, not a 160, 200-pound human, right? But yet we consume it, by half gallons, by the gallon. And so we've got to really seek out better options. And at Living Well, this is what we're after, is trying to give you guys better options so that you can figure out what's really going on. And but when you have this, when you have allergens, just know that your inflammation meter is high. We know that there is issues in the body. The GI tract, this is an organ system that can break down, the lymph tracts that can break down, of course, the liver, and then even the kidneys. It's like all the exit channels get bogged down whenever allergies are present. So we never just assume that you just have an allergy problem. We are going to go look at other systems in the body, because when the organ systems are functioning well, your ability to absorb nutrients goes up, and then the allergy symptoms have no reason to be there. And if inflammation is high and we are putting in those 4 food allergens, such as wheat products, dairy products, soy products, corn products, these are inflammatory. And so wheat is another big inflammatory engine. Wheat products, Dr. Chapa, that sounds terrible. As I can't have my white bread anymore. I can't have my wheat bread. That's so soft, and I just want to, poke a hole in the bread because it's so moist. Yeah, but if you look at all the fillers and you look at all the synthetic ingredients, meaning processed food, it's not even real. When you see the words refined wheat flour, enriched wheat flour on the label, you're eating something that is not your friend, right? And it's irritating the gut, and it's driving your threshold meter too close to the line, and you tip that line, you go into the red zone, you're going to be susceptible to whatever.
Here's a comment. This is from Sullian, and I think that you're describing exactly.
Sullian, I haven't heard from you in a while.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show.
She said, sometimes I feel like I get the most random allergic reaction and I never know what causes it. Sometimes I'm allergic to cats. Sometimes I'm not. Sometimes everything else is random. Is it because that threshold?
She's totally describing the threshold, yeah. And that means she's living too close and to that threshold. And the wonder is, for me, is, do you put cream in your coffee? Do you have ice cream? Do you get into dairy products more than twice a week? And if, for example, and I've seen as little as that little creamer thing is that you see, and most people kind of like poke it open and throw it in their coffee, that on a Monday and a little bit of, say, ice cream or cheese on a Thursday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday are affected from the creamer on Monday, and Friday, Saturday, Sunday are affected by the Thursday cheese insult or the ice cream insult. And so your whole week is bombed because you got into an inflammatory food. Well, what if it's wheat and dairy? Well, I mean, shoot, who's not eating, cheese sandwiches or cheeseburgers or getting into stuff that is potentially a combo effect? And I think combo effects potentially have a higher impact So like, let's say that if our meter up to threshold was 100, let's say that, dairy for one person could be 60, points on that meter for that one person. But let's say that wheat is only like, 10, but you put them together, now it's 110. So when the body gets inflamed by multiples, it could be synergistically more negatively impactful to help to your body overcoming that deficit of a symptomatology, or it just pushes you right up to the edge, like she's kind of describing. And now the cat walks in the room and she's like blowing her schnoz, right?
Yeah.
Or of some, whatever the change in weather is, those random, when you have random acts, you can almost go, okay, I bet you it's in the bowel of the liver, because the liver's not processing at the speed it needs to. And so there's backup, there's backflow, and it backs up into the kidneys, it backs up into the lungs, it backs up into the sinuses, and that's an indicator. But the reason that your body, that's a good thing, is because if it backs up into the lymph, and the lymph can't manage it to these tertiary exit strategies, it immediately backs up out of the liver into the lymph system. If it goes into the lymph system, then and the lymph system gets taxed, that's when you start seeing infections pop up, like bacterial, viral type infections. You start going, whoa, I'm catching colds right, left, and Sunday. This is no bueno. And so we've got to get the wheat, dairy down. We got to look at the corn and say, all right, I don't need to be consuming these inflammatory foods, especially during the season change, when I know my allergens traditionally are at their worst. Oh, it's okay, Dr. Chapa, I've got plenty of drugs to take that are over-the-counter allergy medications or professional grade pharmaceutics. Well, that's a solution, but oftentimes comes with many, many side effects. And it comes with many, many negative side effects. So we want to come alongside you and give you better tools so that you don't cause more toxicity, because that never fixes the problem. That toxicity keeps piling up. And the closer you get to that threshold, or the more you live on the wrong side of that threshold, the more your body feels like it's just beat up and suffering. And so we always enjoy talking about food allergens because they mean so much to so many people when I can help them see. You might have a test that says you're allergic to oranges, but if you're allergic to like cucumbers, oranges, avocados, weird, I call those weird allergens, right? Not to say that they're weird, but just they're not the common. I can almost 95% guarantee you that you've got a wheat, dairy, soy, corn issue, every one of us. Now, notice I didn't say allergy. I said issue, meaning it's throwing you close and closer to that symptomatic threshold to have negative allergens. Now, of course, there's other inflammatory foods. I mean, it's not just the top four: wheat, dairy, corn, soy. Those always compete for the number 1 through 4 spot: wheat and dairy and corn. In my office, it's probably dairy and wheat first. And but you might visit a clinical nutritionist that might say wheat's the thing, right? You would think, what is missing on that top 4 list that you think was obvious and should be there?
Name it one more time.
Wheat, dairy, corn, soy.
Wheat, corn, dairy, soy. I don't know. I hear these a lot. And what would be obvious on there? Sugar?
Sugar. Very well, yeah. But sugar is good. Sugar is not a food. It is a chemical, adulterated non-food. And so I don't put it in the foods list, but definitely if it has sugar in it, if what you're consuming right this second has sugar in it, whether it's a drink, whether it is a bar, a shake, whether it's a fast food thing. I mean, we've even seen nicotine dip has sugar in it.
They'll add sugar to it?
I mean, it's a part of the game. I mean, it is not just the nicotine you're addicted to. It is the sugar you're addicted to. Sugar blues, lick the sugar habit. It is amazing how much we have read and how much books have been written around the concept of sugar and all the negative impacts that that stem around it. But it is not a food. It is a chemical. If it was introduced in our society today, sugar would be a controlled substance. And these are all the things that are driving inflammation, that are driving your allergies, that are keeping you close to that metabolic threshold where you go over it. Now you have symptoms. If you stay under it, you're symptom free. But if you hear this, what I'm saying is just because you're symptom free doesn't mean you don't have some kind of inflammation, irritation occurring, right? So you want to be mindful that the inflammation that is present if you're getting into these top 4 foods, wheat, dairy, corn, soy, that they could be causing other issues in your body that and allergies aren't this check engine light that goes off. So I really look at allergies like the check engine light that drives you to go see the allergist, the ear, nose, and throat, or Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center. And when we hear, oh, it's allergy season, of course. Look at the cars. Look at the look at the decking outside. It's like a huey green. And you're like, good gravy. I mean, this is insane.
Yeah.
And when you see that, you're snorting that stuff up and breathing that in, and those particulates should be able to be processed. But again, I mean, just because you can see it doesn't mean that that's the only thing that you're getting exposed to. It's coming in your body from all angles at microscopic levels. That's where we got nose hairs. Doesn't ever like that. So then we look at the 5th most common food, peanuts. Most people don't realize it, but peanuts are one of the moldiest nuts that people consume on a regular basis. Very hard to digest. It is definitely heat treated. Not good if you want to keep monkeys alive. My staff always picks on me because I say the fastest way to kill a monkey is to feed them roasted nuts, because it genetically alters and genetically re-engineers those proteins, and the monkeys can't survive. But then they will casually nudge me and say, well, there is a faster way. And
what is it?
And
wow.
then they like hold up like fingers like a gun. And
it
I'm
gets
like,
dark in there.
Settle down.
It's like, Matthew. That's Matthew, isn't it?
No, it's Jennifer.
Oh my God.
I know. It's crazy.
Both of them at the same time. Both Jennifers. I could see that.
Yeah, and it's like, wow, like you guys have it out for the poor monkeys.
I expect that from Matthew.
I know.
I wouldn't expect it from them.
I wouldn't either, but we'll pray for them. We will definitely. Amen. So, man, I'm glad we got through that. I was wondering how we're going to throw them under the bus this morning. All right, so now we look at the number 6 slot. That this is going to make all my lady friends upset. Chocolate can be number 6 on your inflammation food list, and we just got to recognize that if you are sensitive to allergies, you've got to look at the chocolate intake. What are you consuming that could be driving you closer and closer to that threshold? And if you go, you know what, I have milk chocolate such and such every day, you know what I mean? Or you always steer towards the lighter chocolates. Those are the milk chocolates. Is it the chocolate, or is it the milk, or is it that synergistic effect, right? You mix the two together, and boom, you got a collision, a crash, and your symptom patterns start to go the wrong way, and you go, no.
Yeah,
but it tasted so good.
It's like the sugar and the milk. It's
and
perfect.
The chocolate all together.
Yeah,
I mean, now you got this perfect stick of dynamite that blows up inside you, and how irritating and inflammatory is that? And then we've got to look at tomatoes. Oh, I can't believe tomatoes.
Tomatoes makes the list?
It makes the list. It's number 7 on the list.
Oh, wow.
And then you're going to be shocked at number 8. But the lycopene, some people have a hard time breaking that down. That and I typically see this with people that are they have a lot of digestive issues. So they already are sensitive. They get a lot of ulcers in their mouth. They see a lot of gas, bloating, indigestion, acid reflux. And when they get into those, their reflux, indigestion seems to get worse. And but when they are consuming, tomatoes during allergy season, they're definitely higher up on the list. And then guess what the last of what we're going to talk about is the top 8 most common food allergies is.
What's last on the list?
What would be something that would just break your heart, and it's not a taco?
You know, okay, tacos. I'm a big fan of popcorn, but I know corn's not allowed.
Well, corn's already on the list.
Yeah,
Number 3.
Corn is not allowed, and I love popcorn. But
I just see pictures of you and Kurt, gobbling it up all the time when y'all are out and about.
There's a lot. Okay, tacos, pizza, fried food. Man, the list goes on.
It's meat, red meat. Oh, I know it's so sad, but it slows down digestion, and when you have slower digestion, that's then compounded by mucus effects of some of these other food allergens. It bogs down and backs up the liver, backs up into the lymphatics, backs up into the sinus cavities. And then you're literally walking around, snorting around and making weird sounds.
Yeah.
Just to make things fun. And so we've got to know that there's 2 primary exits. If we can keep the bowels moving and the lymphatic channels clear, you're going to have no symptoms of allergens, and that's something that we really focus on. We have protocols designed specific to cleansing and clearing trash out of the bowels and the lymphatics. And I did not bring those in, but I do have these other 2 ideas, Allercorg, or Allerco rather, and sinus relief spray. This is a neat thing. So the Allercorg is, if you see me see that Allerco, this product here is 3 different herbs. Albizia, very well known for its effects on non-infectious allergens. Chinese skullcap, blood flow and neurological implications to help the brain recognize, non-infectious allergens. And then black cumin seed, which is very immunologically lifting. It builds up the tissues. And so I like these, this little blend of herbals because it works really fast. It's like an acute allergy support over the counter, if you will, that's safe, natural, and it's not going to have any side effects. And then the sinus relief spray, the sinus relief spray is it is colloidal silver, and when you have a severe infection in your sinuses because it's been the pus and the backup has been pooling too long, this product will literally make sure that it's like putting chlorine tablets in your pool, but it disrupts bacteria, and it's just silver. And I mean, I've had this burn my own nostrils the first 4 or 5 times, burn my sinuses when I would do it, and that's an indicator that there was infection up there. But now it doesn't happen. I do it once or twice a week, and just to make sure everything's clear and open, and curiosity, especially because that first time I tried it, I did get some burning, Does
it make you feel alive?
It does. It opens up your head beautifully, and it's wild. When you can take that and snort it up, and then you can feel it go down the back of your throat, and you swallow it down, that silver is now going down into your stomach. I had one lady do it, and she got burning in her stomach for an hour, and she goes, "What was that?" I said, "That's infection. You have infection in that, upper GI." And she goes, "Well, that's terrible." And I'm like, "Yes, but aren't you glad you have a solution?"
Right.
Because the silver was disruptive to the ecology. Like I kicked an ant hill over. And so, yes, the ants went spiraling, to their doom, but some of them, bit back and fought a little bit, kicked and screamed. But we do this stuff often enough, and we build protocols around what serves you. This is just I wouldn't necessarily put everybody on every one of these things. I'd pick the best, in the list. I didn't even bring all my allergy support, and we always got to look at this product here, Cataplex C, because we know that the adrenal glands help regulate immune responses, and the adrenals in today's world are being taxed every which way to Sunday. There's a stress component that we're all managing and dealing with, and vitamin C is what I call the sinner's vitamin. It's the vitamin that when God said we were going to have to work and till the land and to get any value out of it, the vitamin C complex, the food grade C, is what the body needs in order to feel, once it saturates into the bloodstream, where the adrenal glands can regulate more effectively and manage stress better. Well, interestingly, this will also support one of those exit channels we just spoke about. Actually, both of them, the lymphatics and the immune response, and the bowels in bowel stimulation. You can actually get your circulating C high enough where you're having healthy, fawn-colored, fluffy floaters 3 to 4 times a day. People are like, ooh, that's gross. I don't want to talk about that. I know, but I'm not trying to offend you. I'm trying to educate you because I want you to see that if the bowels are open, the lymphatics won't get bogged down. If the lymphatics won't get bogged down, they won't go into those second and tertiary exit channels, and you're not going to have these symptoms that you're suffering and struggling with. So this little, if I were to pick something on that table, I'd say, well, Cataplex C would for sure be in everybody's list. Then I'd pick, is it acute or chronic allergy support, Allerplex, Allercaps for, say, acute and chronic, but more for that long-term, it's been around a long time. And then the DHIS, when I need something like quick, fast, in a hurry, I need something like now. The Enviroforce, is one of those key tools that are in my tool bag so that you feel your best. And then, of course, if you have been suffering with sinus crud for an eternity, it seems, I would do the sinus relief spray to cleanse out any debris and funk that is up there manually, followed by some Sinus Force, because the Sinus Force will begin to erode all that pus and mucus and trash that's built up and backed up into your tissues. And so, again, tools are what we're trying to give people access to. And the more they have as options, the better they feel. So we're looking at the how do we open up these strategies? And we use protocols, 5-day intestinal cleanse programs to open up the bowels, 10-day blood sugar and inflammation redux programs, because these 10-day protocols are targeting the liver. They're targeting the bowels in order to flush excess debris and waste out. And the cleansing effect of the lymphatics, and I couldn't bring everything. There's just, I love having tools in my tool bag. I was up in the hill country recently, and Spanish black radish, number one thing was in my list. Thymex, number one thing in my list. Congoplex, top 3 things I took with me. Why? Because I don't know who's going to be with me that might actually get sick. And sure enough, there's always somebody in my party that has allergies or dry eyes or itchy, watery eyes or whatever, and we can use these tools to help. And they go, how is this working? And I'm like, and I take it at home and it doesn't seem to work. I said, well, because I've already dosed you 2 or 3 times today. How many doses do you take at home? 1, if you take a water pistol to a forest fire, you don't get the effect. If I take the fire truck appropriate hose for volume output to suppress the symptom pattern, I can get that to happen. That's what these tools do. And that's what the lymphatic drainage does. I can clear trash out of your lymph through using lymphatic drainage support or lymphatic detox experiences. And when you look at the lymphatics, if I had the ability to take somebody's lymphatics, Gardy, out of the body and pop them like a rug, and then put them back in the body, that person would feel within 5 minutes a shift. Even if you feel great, you could feel greater and go, oh, I really wasn't feeling my best. You will feel your best. And it's mind-boggling to see how the body responds so quickly. And then, we talked about other organs that could break down the kidneys. What would we do there? We would just add to the protocol. And we use these additional support protocols like the Arginex, the liquid solidago or buco. We use these because sometimes you've let the waste build up back up too long, and now it's down in this other area, and I'm going to use these targeted nutrients and herbs to go after the kidneys and focus on cleansing out and literally running a boat ton of fluid through that system in order to wash out the gunk, the trash. That serves the body as a whole. And it makes it fun for us. It makes it enjoyable to see people getting relief. We look at, additionally, one of the things that I've been doing and seeing with the Sinus Force, which is really fascinating, and I don't know that I'm meant to see this, But I think what's happening is the more people are having things back up into their sinus cavities because their lower system is not working well. In the Sinus Force, it has berberine in it. And that berberine is very antimicrobial for a lot of different types of pathology. And I'm seeing peach fuzz grow back on people's hairlines where they were losing it before. The thinning is actually thickening, all because I'm changing a burden of infection that they're carrying in their sinuses. And the Sinus Force is roto-rooting and cleansing that trash out. So it's not just going to affect the allergy symptoms. It's going to affect other things that you didn't even ask me to help you with.
That's pretty cool. Those side effects.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I get just excited again because even if all of this didn't solve the problem, lo and behold, we have yet another idea. We could go and actually work on cleaning the blood. We could build up the oxygen levels in the blood using stuff like ferrofood. And some people have lower than what the medicine calls anemic patterns. So they could not be pathological like the numbers are on most people's pathology report. They could just be subtly low. That subtly low is enough to create disruption in how the body is going to maximize nutrient delivery. If I can improve nutrient delivery and I can get those red and white blood cells to turn over more frequently like they're supposed to, your body's not going to be running around in a rust bucket. It's not going to be running around in an older model car that's got, high miles and hasn't had the oil changed in a long time. I'm going to change the fluids. I'm going to address the blood factor. We're going to look at things like the Imuplex and Circuplex to build the blood and strengthen the blood and maximize, blood vitality and make sure that the delivery system of healthy blood is going to all the tissues for regeneration and repair. So looking for solutions is our mission, is to get to the underlying root cause of why the body breaks down and what we can do to remedy it. I brought some of my favorite tools out of my tool bag, some vegetarian version blends, some carnivore-friendly blends, some liquid version. There are tools in your tool bag. Are you using them? Because if you're not, then you're probably suffering needlessly. And we want to give you better tools and resources in order to feel good and live good day in and day out. And that way you're not down and out on the sideline of life whenever the party's happening, whenever people are living and enjoying themselves or raising kids and watching the games, but they're outdoors and you're like, I ain't going outside. My head hurts bad enough as it is. We bring these tools aboard in order to help you see the possibility. And I just brought 7 or 8 of my favorite tools in order to help people see options are available. And when you have these check engine lights pop up, because I think we're all subject to allergens. I mean, I've even walked into homes before that had something in the air because my sinuses in my head went haywire. I walked outside, I was fine. I walked back inside, haywire. I walked outside, I was fine. Walked back inside, I was haywire. I was like, this is terrible, right? I wish I had some Allerplex. I wish I had some Allerco. But in those moments, you don't always have the tools, but it helps you kind of appreciate, like, wow, something in that environment is messing with me. What is it? And what can I do to, get it under control? Our mission at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center is to get people well without drugs and surgery. We want to teach people how to live better, be better, stay better, one bite at a time. And I think having tools in the tool bag and addressing the food allergens that people are exposed to. I just saw yesterday a lady, she circled, high numbers on her sleep, which means that she's sleeping poorly. And I go, what's your blood pressure been doing? What's your bowels been doing? Oh, been constipated, blood pressure's been high. Oh, what's your stress been doing? Oh, stress numbers off the roof. Well, I mean, how many balls can you juggle?
3.
If I threw 4 in, what happens?
I'm dropping all of them.
Dropping all of them, right? You don't get to just
keep them going.
Keep them going.
Can't.
It's a skill to multitask, but it's not. But it does require a great deal of bandwidth to manage it. to learn it. And so at Living Well, we want to be your number one health and wellness resource, to coach you through, to feel good, live good, be good, one bite at a time, one day at a time. And so we just want to encourage you that if you're suffering needlessly with allergens, even if you've tried everything, if you've got that constant drip, if you've got that red eye, if you've got that itch, that dry, that whatever this is, I just did that on purpose. Did y'all like that?
That was good.
And I can't say I did that on purpose. I don't know what that was.
That was nice. Right on cue.
Right on cue. That is an indicator that there are things that your body is exposed to day in and day out. And so you could use a little tool, a little help. And so this is what we do at the office. So I hear that yesterday. My daughter, she's up early with me, and I hear the cough. I'm like, oh, that sounds like a congestion cough. Hey, take these. Gave her some DHA, gave her some Congoplex, gave her a little bit of intestinal cleanse, and boom. She was as perfect as she can be last night, and felt great this morning. No dip on the radar. I didn't let anything settle in her tissues. I wanted her body to see that it was exposed to something, have an immunological response, and then help her body flush that trash out, because I don't need her sick. It stresses everybody out when a kid's sick, right? Because, the family has to stop. Somebody's got to be a caregiver. Somebody's got to be distracted to hold and care for and love. These are things that we see on the regular when we see those sick days, when we see that $18 billion spent. And so, what we've been talking about is allergies and how much they impact our day-to-day lives. We talked about the 4 most common foods and the second most common 4. So the top 8 most common food allergens: wheat, dairy, corn, soy. We talked about peanuts, and we talked about chocolate. Oh, so sorry. Tomatoes and red meat. We talked about these being inflammatory foods that you still have to address when you're having allergic allergy-like responses, especially when the seasons change. So at Living Well, we're always out to give you a new idea, a new tool. And you're thinking, well, I've already got off the dairy and my allergies are still present. All right, well, what are you doing the Sinus Force? Are you allowing us to keep digging and find your underlying liver glitch or your bowel issue or your lymphatic congestion? Because I assure you, it's there. We just need to help you see it, address it, and then get the response you're looking for, which is a new, better you. And I get excited about what Living Well is doing. And it's just going to get better. At our new office, we're going to have far infrared saunas for detoxification. We're going to have better lymphatic foot bath massages or detoxes going on. And it's just going to be phenomenal to watch how integrating exogenous tools for maximizing detox is going to make a dent and an impact on people. So I just want to encourage all you guys, no matter what symptom you're dealing with, let Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center have a shot at being your number one cheerleader, your number one health coach, in order to feel good, live good, and be good one bite at a time. And if you have questions, you can always reach out. You can always call 281-554-8600 or email us at info@justlivewell.com. And we'd love to help you. We'd love to teach you. We'd love to show you more and more and more what you need in order to feel your best, live your best, be your best day in and day out. So this is Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center signing out.
This is KHEA Radio, 99.5